Well, good morning. Out on my daily cardio ride, and I'm not on a path system right now. It's on a side street, not wearing a helmet again. I know it's not the safest thing to do, but this street's pretty calm. So today I want to touch on a couple things with regards to what's going on in Toronto with regards to our very lax and very non-deterrent legal justice system in Toronto. Last week in Toronto, a video surfaced of a car downtown Toronto at night with 4 occupants in it. It's a 4-door car, and for whatever reason the cops wanted to have a talk with the driver, and the driver didn't want to have a talk with the cops. So the cops were all standing, like, you know, they weren't in a car, they weren't on bicycles. They boxed them in with their bodies, with their service pistols drawn. So there was a cop on the driver's side and a cop on the passenger side, one in front and one behind, and they all had their guns drawn, and I guess they weren't too concerned about crossfire. So it wasn't a textbook takedown. So this driver proceeded to back out aggressively. I believe he ripped one of the passenger, like the passenger wanted to get out. Like, I guess he was scared of the police guns trained on him, so he wanted to get out, and in doing so he left his door open, but he was still in the car. Then when the guy reversed, he smashed the door on the passenger side against another car. Then he went down a side street with about 15 cops pursuing on foot. So listen to this. So he gets away. The guy gets away for, you know, whatever amount of time. They ended up catching him. They apprehended him, but he has subsequently gone to court, and he was released. I repeat, released without bail. They didn't even have a bail hearing. I got this from a member of Parliament, Larry Brock. I think he's a member for Brantford, and he's a lawyer. But he's a member of Parliament, and he put it on his website, I believe last night, and he outlined that the person that was involved in this didn't even have a bail hearing. They released him. So if you watch this video, and it's online, it's everywhere, like, it makes you wonder how possibly can this person be released without bail. Like, they should be remanded in custody. Like, he put many people's lives at risk, including the more important people, the police, because we all know they're more important than the regular citizen. And that leads me into the police. The more I do this, and the more I ride around on my bike and I notice things, and I'm purposely going out now, and I'm not looking to critique the police. That's not my thing. There's a couple people in the GTA that do that, and I think that's a bit of a douchebag move, to be honest with you. And there's one, including, he's an ex-cop, and he's disgruntled with the TPS, Toronto Police Service, and he goes around and he's constantly bad-mouthing the police. So that's not my intent here. But what I will say, if you've ever been to the Toronto Pearson Airport, up in Malton, Ontario, still part of Mississauga, I guess. Yeah, it's Peel, because the Peel police are responsible for that up there, as well as the RCMP. Excuse me. But I noticed that the police today, they actually look like they recruit directly from the airport security. It looks like they go up there and they say, here's your new uniform. Here's what do they carry? Glock 21s. They carry multitude. I don't know what they carry. They carry Glocks, I know that, and I think they're allowed 3 or 4 different variants of guns are allowed to carry in Toronto. And they say, here's a gun. Go to the police college or whatever, and we're going to put you as a frontline officer in Toronto. These cops are literally 5.5 feet tall. Women, men, they all look the same, and it appears to me they don't know what they're doing. Honestly. When I grew, like, I'm 55 years old. When I grew up, like, we had a relationship with police in our neighborhood, because, we got into mischief and whatever, a little bit of trouble, but we knew the cops by name, and, they were big cops. I think you had to be at least 5'10" back in the day, and you had to pass fitness tests and, tests with regards to, cognitive ability, mental cognitive ability, and now I don't even think they have to pass a fitness test, and you can be any height. And I don't know, like, you know, a few months back there was a Toronto cop that was not too long out of the academy, and he lived in St. Catharines, Ontario, but he was a member of the TPS, and he brought his service pistol home, and he actually carried it when he was off duty, open carry. He open carried his service pistol, and he went into a gas station, I believe in St. Catharines or Welland, up that way in the Niagara region, with his sidearm visible. So the person, the clerk in the convenience store gas station, called the police. Subsequently, there was an investigation launched, and it was, you know, determined that what he did was wrong, obviously. So this guy, he's in his early 20s, out of the academy, I think 3 or 4 months, gets caught with his service pistol, walking around like he's a hoodlum, like a punk. That's what he looks like. That's what all these cops look like. A lot of them, they look like punks. You know, you take them right out of the hood, and you know, I'm sorry to say it, and you put a uniform on them and give them a legal gun. And you know, people think that these police are highly trained with these firearms. You know what? I went from a middle class area to an affluent area. There's a house being built here. I'm just going to show it to you. It's a nice house. I like the stone and the stucco combination. Looks like they got a coat of arms up there. But anyhow, this is it's a nice part of Toronto. It's literally walking distance from my house. But anyhow, so when they, you know, the argument is they don't want regular citizens like myself carrying a firearm. I can almost guarantee you, I don't own a handgun, but I can almost guarantee you that I can shoot one better than a lot of the cops can that are currently employed by the Toronto Police Service. And I don't know what their availability to the shooting range is, the gun range. I know they have one. I know they have one down at the Toronto Police College on Birmingham Street in South Etobicoke. I know they have one there. I don't know what their availability is to go practice, you know, and like their ammunition allowance. I don't know anything about that. It's not something I've really focused on in my life. But getting back to the police and the requirements with regards to them being employed by the TPS, it's kind of alarming. I was at a crime scene there last week, or no, sorry, I think on Monday of this week, and I recognized one of the cops there. And you know what? I seen him on the stand at a trial, and he actually gave good testimony. So compared to the other cop, the other cop was a lunkhead. Anyhow, it was disturbing. The other cop's testimony was disturbing, but this cop that I ran into on Monday, you know, inadvertently, yeah, he gave good testimony. He seemed like he cared about his job. But so yeah, so getting back to this person being released without bail, the Keystone cops chasing him down the street. They ended up catching him. I guess he was in a car registered to him, and they tracked the plate, or maybe they caught him later, like not so long after the video stopped. But that is one thing that focuses on my video yesterday with regards to the lax bail systems and the catch and release systems, like for serious crimes. Today, a young girl is going to court for sentencing for a second-degree murder trial that occurred in late 2022, and it was of a homeless person by the name of Kenneth Lee. He was 59 years old, and he suffered from mental health issues, and he also suffered from substance abuse issues. I think he was an alcoholic, and he did have a loving family, but they did everything they could to help him. And you know, some people that get to a point in their progression of mental health and addiction, you can't be helped. So he was living on the streets and in I think men's hostels or men's shelters. So he was downtown, and I believe he was with a female companion, and this is, like I said, late December of 2022. 8 girls between the ages of 13 and 16 between 13 and 16 swarm him, and they end up stabbing him to death. Girls between 13 and 16 used an edged weapon and stabbed this homeless person that was just minding his own business, already down on his luck, to death. So listen to this. So they all, because the Young Justice Criminal or Youth Justice Criminal Act, you know, you can't post anyone's pictures, anyone's names, because, you know, they're protected because of their age. So my understanding of this case is they all met online. I don't even think they even knew each other, and they all got together from, you know, online meeting, saying, let's go downtown and, you know, let's cause some trouble. Well, they ended up murdering someone. So a couple days later, they remanded them in custody. Then a couple days later, they had a Zoom meeting, I believe, for bail. And of the seven No, it was 7 kids. I might have said 8. It was 7 kids. Of the 7 kids, only 2 of them had parents that attended that Zoom meeting. So 5 of the kids, the young girls, didn't even have representation from a parent. And one of their lawyers didn't even show up. So you can tell, just based on that alone, they're from broken homes. And that is so often the case with regards to these young people committing crimes. They're from a broken home. They're usually one parent, or they're in foster care. Rarely is there 2 parents that are stable in their lives. Rarely. And I'm not saying, you know, people that have 2 parents don't commit crimes, don't get me wrong, but I would say, I don't know what the percentages are, but I would say a large percentage of the youths committing these crimes are from a broken family. So sentencing's going to happen today for that person. We're going to see what happens there. Probably not a whole lot, unfortunately. Now, also, I mentioned in my last video about swarming beating, the race-related swarming beating in Cincinnati, Ohio, of 2 middle-aged white people that got stomped out pretty good in a street fight. Well, they call it a street fight, but it was a swarming. It was a swarming. So that's the only way I could characterize it. I've been on. I'm a streetwise person. I know what a swarming is, and you know what, you can't, even if you're not streetwise, you can see that was a race-related swarming. So anyhow, they put out arrest warrants for 5 people. My understanding is 2 were in custody. Well, 2 were in custody. They apprehended a woman and a man, and they've subsequently been released already on $400 bail. This is in Cincinnati, Ohio. They've been released already on bail. Now, if you look at this video, it could be viewed as an attempted murder. Same as the guy driving the car in Toronto that fled from the police. That could be viewed as attempted murder, and they're letting these people go. $400 bail is nothing, so you might as well not even have a bail hearing like they did for the person in Toronto. So basically, what they're doing, like I said in my last video, all they're doing is just encouraging this. So if there's no repercussion for violent crimes, what's a deterrent? What's a deterrent? You get into a road rage incident, like I cut a guy off behind me in a car. What's to stop him from getting out with a weapon of some sort and attacking me? Because he knows there's a very good chance that he isn't going to go to jail. And you know, and if you don't have money, the Crown will provide a lawyer for you. The government will provide a lawyer. I'm not saying you're going to get a good lawyer, but you're going to get some sort of legal representation if they show up. You know? Like I tell people, it's the way the legal system is in our political system. Under the Liberal government, all their lives are at risk. There are Liberal appointed judges, and parole board people are all Liberals. You know, you can ride around this city. Like, obviously I'm from Toronto, and I know what's going on in Toronto, and I can tell you, especially my neighborhood, it is massive Liberal, and they're all bleeding heart. And then when I post a video like this, I'll get people saying, like, you know, they don't believe it. They don't believe what's going on. They can't believe what their lying eyes are telling them. They don't want to believe it, because their world hasn't been touched by this. And like I said in my other video too, even when the world is touched by this, they still have a tough time swallowing it, the truth. So, you know, until the judges, until our politicians are held accountable for what's happening to people regarding violent crimes, nothing's ever going to change. Like politicians will say, even on the conservative side, I'm conservative, and even the conservative politicians, all they say is, you know, bail reform. Like, we got to have tougher bail reform. But that's not the root cause. The root cause is letting 1.2 million immigrants into the country in 1 year that don't want to assimilate into our culture, that come from violent countries, that don't understand the rule of law. They come from countries that have no laws on record, but they do have vigilante justice laws. Like, if you get caught stealing in India, where a lot of our immigration comes from, street justice will take care of them. You know, cut their hand off, beat them to death, whatever. In Canada, they know when they come here, it's a license to steal. I was in my one of the convenience stores I go to. I buy my milk there because it comes in a jug. I just like my milk in a jug. And whenever you know, it doesn't matter if I get it in a bag. People that live in Canada or Ontario know what bag milk is. Other people don't know what that is. But it's 4 liters. It's a gallon of milk, pretty much. And I like buying it from this store, Circle K. So I was talking to the manager. I befriended her because, you know, I talk to her when I go in there. And she asked me, like, you know, what I'm wearing, like, do I go on long bike rides? And I said to her, yeah, I do. And I have a very small YouTube channel that I'm touching on what's going on in our community with regards to crime. So yesterday, when I was in the store, I buy my milk. And I also had a lottery ticket where I won $10 on, it's called Lotto Max if you're not from Canada. And I won $10, and, you know, I got 3 numbers on Encore. So I gave her the ticket, and then she tells me how much I owe her. I bought more tickets, and I bought my milk. Then she tells me how much I owe her, and she didn't subtract the $10 that I won. So I pointed that out to her. It was an honest mistake. She said she was sorry. I believe her. And so I said to her, just like kind of half joking, but I really wasn't. I said to her, I go, you know, you must have a lot on your mind. And she goes, yeah, actually I do. And I go, okay, well, what do you got on your mind? And she says to me, she goes, I'm always worried because it's around 11 o'clock or whatever, and a bunch of kids come in around that time, and she's always worried about them stealing. And I go, okay, you know, that's probably not an uncommon thing. But I said to her, I go, is it just kids? She goes, no, it's hardly ever kids, she said. But now up in Ontario, you can buy wine and beer in corner stores and convenience stores, which this store has. And she says people come in there daily, just walk in and walk out with whatever they want. So, and then so I said, okay, then what do you do? She goes, I can't touch them. I can't, all I do is call the police. And sometimes the police show up, you know, pretty soon, like pretty quick. And sometimes they show up a couple hours later. And then some look at the videotapes and some don't. So basically, you have, like, you can go into any store in Ontario and you can steal whatever you want. You can walk right in and walk right out. And that's not the way it should be. That's not the way it should be. When I was a kid, you know, we tried to steal a chocolate bar. Just gotta pass this garbage truck up here. You tried to steal something, the owner of the store is gonna grab you, and a good chance, well, it's a good chance they know your parents because they go in the same store. You're gonna be told on, or they're gonna bring you right down to your house, to your parents. Or a neighbor would see you doing that, and the neighbor would correct that. Now you look at videos online, you got kids, like 8-year-old, 9-year-old kids going into grocery stores and Walmart and trashing the place. You know, go into the you know, the bake section, the meat section, just start throwing everything around, and then you got people saying, oh, don't touch that kid, you don't know what that kid's gone through. Well, I don't give a shit what that kid's gone through. He's putting everyone around that kid is putting everyone around that area in trauma to see that. So anyhow, I don't see this. I see it getting a lot worse before it gets better. It's societal breakdown. Like I've touched on a couple of my videos. It's by design. I call it managed decline. The powers that have been installed in our governments, our liberal governments and our democratic governments in the US, the DNC, And I'm not saying, you know, people on the conservative side or the Republican side, there are people that have ill intentions too, obviously. I'm at the point now where its government as a whole is completely broken, obviously cannot be trusted. But where does that leave us? Where does that leave a person like me in Canada that has to navigate a liberal-run city with gun crimes up by 130% in the last 10 years? I don't know what the percentage of edge weapons attacks, but that's through the roof. Okay, so now our murder rate in Toronto, I think we're on 23 murders in Toronto, and it's end of July. That is very low for a city our size. I understand that. It's probably going to be one of the lowest murder rates on hand per year for the last, I don't know, 15-20 years. And okay, that's good, but that doesn't mean that gun crimes have gone down. It just means less people are you know, not getting killed when they get shot. So the murder rate, yeah, I'll say that's good. It's come down a long way, but we got a long way to go, and I don't see it changing anytime soon. But that's my my daily ride and rant. That's what I think I'll start calling this, a ride and rant. But enjoy the rest of your day. I got to get home. My bike needs some servicing. I noticed right when I took my bike out, and I shouldn't have taken it out today, but I need a little cardio. I have 2 broken spokes on my rear rim, so I have to. The bike's going to be down for a little while. I got another rim at home I can pull some spokes out of, and I'll have to switch that up, but I can't ride too far, so it looks like it's going to rain anyways. So enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for watching. You got any comments or concerns, leave them in the comment section.